George Bruno with the 21 Report. We are at the 21 Summit, actually the end, the post-game show of the 21 Summit. We're in Orlando, Florida. The year is 2020, and I'm having a conversation with the founder and president of the 21 Summit and the Manosphere, Anthony Dream Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
All right. We have 4 days behind us. A lot of work went into this.
Yeah.
Socrates said you dared to pull this off.
Yep.
I can say that you did. You did it.
Thank you.
Pulled it off.
I feel like it too. I feel it in my bones, man. Usually I'm exhausted after an event, and I feel physically a little, tired from doing, sleeping, just a little sleep and working my ass off like everybody else. But I feel like $1 million or $1 billion, man. I feel awesome. And I feel, like my bones, and I feel my spirit, and I feel just super awesome about it. I know how much we nailed it. Everyone. I mentioned this yesterday to one of my GM, James, that everyone performed at a super high level in terms of even the attendees, I guess, but I'm talking about speakers, staff, volunteers, especially the guys that we knew coming back with the alumni, staff and volunteers, killed it. And that happened just kind of organically. Maybe it was a good momentum, maybe it was a good year for it. The year being so sucky, actually, I think maybe is what helped inspire that. People wanted a good experience, they wanted to have a good time, they wanted to go to Florida. The governor's been good here with a lot of the COVID stuff. They want to go to 21 Summit, they want to learn, they want to be better men. They want to have something positive in such a negative, toxic kind of year. So 21 Summit, I think, provided that, and it's been an awesome year for me. I mean, the year has sucked in a lot of ways in terms of, the government stuff and the COVID stuff and all that, but yeah, it's just super awesome. Like, I am amazed at how well this went. We've only done before the 21 Summit, one convention at a time, either the Patriarch or the Under 21, or of course the main event, the 21 convention. We did a brand new event, we did the second Patriarch, and we did the main event for the 19th time or whatever, 19th time since 2007. So it was just unreal. I mean, this was truly epic. And everyone felt that. I feel that, you feel that, we all feel that. The new speakers even feel that. The new guys, Coach Greg and like Bulldog, for example, and they must be just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They think that this is the normal for them now.
Yeah.
And we've done amazing events for, forever. And especially since 2017 when you started the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, holy shit, man. This was like epic, truly epic.
There was a lot of moving parts here. A lot.
Yeah.
And it took every single volunteer, every little cog, every little gear to make this happen.
Yeah.
And there was just enough experienced people here to model behavior, to show the way, and enough new people to watch the old people.
Learn.
You had returning attendees, you had returning speakers, and new attendees and new speakers.
We had a new gender of attendees.
A new gender.
I mean, literally. Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
Because there's only two genders. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the two-gender system. It's worked very well for a couple 100,000 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are only two genders. Anything else is pseudoscientific garbage.
We're not going to have another convention with a third gender?
Not planning on it. I'll consider it,
Okay.
if one pops out of the womb here for our species.
Yeah.
But until then, well, I think, I've said before, sort of seriously, sort of jokingly, that women see three genders. They see men, they see women, and they see betas. Beta male, Jesse Peterson style. But no, there's just two genders. Two-gender system. It's a great system, and we should keep that intact indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 22 convention, Make Women Great Again, started out super controversial. I didn't feel...
Well, hang on. Let's pause on that because remember in late 2018, we actually announced that event.
You did.
The website went up and it was...
You did.
Whoever was on it, you and AJ. I think it was you and AJ on it or something. Yeah, it was you and AJ on the headliners. And it didn't really do much. But when we fully announced it, it went nuts.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Or amazing, as we like to say.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was a risk, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a huge risk. I mean, we got serious heat. Some of our speakers had really serious, legitimate legal issues coming into the event just by associating with the event as a speaker. Not saying anything, not otherwise endorsing it. The content is the content, it's marketing. They're not responsible for that. They didn't do that. You didn't go on the website and type the marketing and stuff. But no, there were serious issues. Death threats, threats of violence, bombs, mass shootings. We actually had to change our logistics for the event a little bit. In terms of usually we don't tell anyone where the venue's at for the main 21 convention ever, just to keep it private. Safety, security, big fans of privacy. But for this event, or typically in the past, we email the attendees, the venue once they buy a ticket. Buy a ticket, of course, tell you where the venue's at, book a hotel room, all that. This event, for both the men, the fathers, and the women, all 3 events, they didn't even get the venue location until 72 hours before the event started.
Yes.
Because I was just so, concerned based on the feedback that was so intense and hostile that they were going to try to protest, which they threatened to. We found Reddit posts, Facebook groups. I heard Planned Parenthood in Orlando was coming after us, trying to organize to cancel the event, cancel culture. And I've been preparing for that for years because I knew this event would most likely get super controversial. And I won. We won. We win, and these losers lost because we had the event, and now we're out of here with the footage. It's like a bank heist. Everybody run, get the footage and run.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they did actually end up calling the hotel and trying to get us canceled, even at the 72-hour mark, about 48 hours out. They're blowing the phones up. And yeah, they followed through on their word, the venue, and I'm really proud of them too. I'm really happy I chose this place and that we're here and we got it done.
Yeah. At any point, were you worried about anything?
Not really. Like, we had a really good safety coordinator and security team, things like that. We hired law enforcement as usual to protect the events. The part of Orlando that we do the events in, there's not really a lot of protests anyway. We stay away from the kind of the protest areas. And Orlando's pretty safe anyway with that stuff. Not safe, but pretty mild. In Florida, the only place that really had protests this year, for example, were like major ones were like Tampa and Miami, which we're not. We're in Orlando. So I felt pretty good. I myself carry a firearm full time at the events. I'm not security per se. I'm just an individual, a man, an adult, and a Floridian. But I take safety seriously for myself, and I don't want anyone else to get hurt. So I take personal responsibility for that too, to an extent, as an event or manager and organizer. And no, I felt pretty good. Everything went super smooth. And there's always a risk, though. I mean, there's always a small chance, at minimum, that people want to protest, cause problems, throw Molotov cocktails, peaceful burning and looting, as we call it.
Yeah.
But no, we had none of that. The feminists, either they got distracted by Trump or COVID or whatever, or they're just like, hyperactive. They can't, focus on anything too long.
Yeah.
They still hate us, but they lost and we won. So much winning, you're gonna get tired of it.
I know it.
Yep.
What was the highlight of the 21 Summit? People have to realize the 21 Summit was 3 different conventions under one roof at a convention center. This place hosts conferences and conventions all the time. That's what they do. We had the 21 convention, we had the Patriarch convention, and then we had the 22 convention, Make Women Great Again. There was a lot going on here.
Yeah.
What was the highlight for you?
Man.
I know it's hard to come up with one thing.
We're one day after, too, here in the post-game show. I still got to process, catch up on sleep. You know, we all are at this point.
Yeah.
During the event, sometimes as the manager anyway, or as the organizer, the event architect, I've gone on 0 hours of sleep. But this year I was doing about 2 to 3 a night, sometimes 4. So you get sleep deprived. So it's tough to process all the events that happened. Man, I'd say actually one of the highlights was the interview you just did with the Guzzies, I call them, like the Brady's, the Brady Bunch, the Guzzi Bunch.
Yeah.
That was a really impressive interview with Tanner and his wife. You as a interviewer did fantastic, and they were just, Berkeley in particular, she was one of the first women we've ever interviewed, right after Jennifer Molesky. That was impressive to see that kind of content, speaking particularly about patriarchy and being humble and these things, right alongside her husband right there, who was also talking about his experience so candidly about their marriage and all that.
They were on the same page, weren't they?
Yeah, and here's what that represents, though. It represents masculinity and femininity getting along and interacting in a really positive and productive way.
Because she's very feminine.
Yeah, and he's very masculine.
Yes.
So it wasn't just them as individual human beings getting along, which is excellent and good as a married couple, but really represents like what needs to happen in culture. We live in a culture where gender relations are collapsing. The genders are kind of at a non-violent war. There's a lot of combat and tension. The 2010s, as we saw with Me Too and the rise of super radical feminism, was an example of that. But they have a very healthy relationship, and that's very healthy gender relations we just saw. And to see that at the event, to see her promoting patriarchy and saying she cherishes it, that was seriously impressive.
That blew me away.
Yeah, but also I'll say with the conferences, running three conventions at the same time, that was a challenge. And I knew that would be a challenge. We've only done one at a time before that. Now last year we did three throughout the year, but they were separated, not compressed into one. So I was telling the speakers, I was joking, I was like, last year I did 3 conventions in the same year. Now I'm gonna do 3 at the same time for my next magic trick. Done. Boom.
Do you see a 4th convention being added, or is
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
We could do the under 21 convention again. We've done 3 of those in the past for young men. That'd be a 4th one we could do. I don't know if I want to do 4 at the same time. I just did 3 at the same time, and it was like, I knew I could do that.
Yeah.
I knew in a confidence way, I had belief in myself. I knew I had the technical ability to do it and the intensity and the energy required. But it's different to think and know these things and believe those things and then actually do it, physically, like walk your talk. So I pulled that off. And that was, I guess I'm proud of that too. I guess I'm proud of that. But that's a highlight of it, is being able to do that and feeling that in the moment during the event. But also you mentioned like some highlights. I'd say seeing, a woman speak at 22, Jennifer Molesky. That was a lot of fun. We got woman-splaining going. We promised a man-splaining, and then we gave a side of woman-splaining at the end there. That was fun.
how'd that go? I didn't get a chance to see it.
It went good. Yeah, she was very animated, like we were talking about. I think it's going to translate well on the camera.
Okay.
And I thought she did as a speaker. One of her first times doing public speaking, she did really well.
Yeah.
I was impressed. I would say too that my own speeches, I was really happy with how they came out.
Yeah.
I like focusing on you guys primarily in terms of the marketing stuff, but being up there and having the lights on you and the cameras and all the eyeballs and stuff, really happy with how they came out. And it's difficult to pull off speeches in the middle of running 3 conferences,
Yes.
or even 1 conference. So that was badass. Seeing the patriarchs, I'll say this too, seeing Tanner and Zach operate almost completely independently, the Patriarch edition, that was a real proud moment for me to see that happen. It was a sigh of relief too. Like, all right, they got that covered. They got that handled. The Patriarchs got the patriarchy over here handled. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's just so much to unpack. I mean, it was unreal.
Yeah.
But even seeing, walking down the hallway and just seeing the men at 21 convention and feeling and seeing the women at 22 and the fathers down here, I mean, it was a whirlwind of just energy and action and intensity and dialogue and intellectual stuff, content and emotions. Yeah, it was unreal, man. Super summit, 21 super duper triple summit.
It really was. Now, there were guys sitting in the Patriarch convention whose wives were in the 22 convention. And that's interesting, how a husband and wife can attend an event like this.
There was one step further than that. There was a Patriarch attendee, I think he was the only Patriarch attendee, and then he had his wife at 22 convention, and then they had their 8-week-old daughter with the mom in 22, who was pretty well behaved and pretty quiet and all that.
Yeah.
So she was technically the youngest attendee ever of any of our conferences, 8 weeks old. And I was like, oh, she's going to be the greatest woman ever. And right off the start here, boom, make her great again.
That's great.
Start great, yeah, 8 weeks,
The demographics of the 22 convention were single women, married women, some divorced women, women who've had children. There were mothers in there. There's women who never had children.
There were some feminists in there.
A feminist.
1 or 2 at least, yeah.
And a couple grandmothers.
Yeah.
That's a very diverse group of women.
Different races too.
Oh, yeah.
Different religions, all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
All the stuff the feminists and the lamestream media and these radical lefty wackos and stuff, they talk about diversity, but they have none of it. They hate diversity of ideas and they hate diversity of opinions.
Yeah.
We have diversity across every spectrum you can imagine. I'm an atheist speaking alongside Christian pastors and Christian reverends, and they don't get along on everything. Yeah. They get along, but they don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
In some important ways.
Yeah.
And then I'm an atheist, and then there's other guys like me, and then all kinds of, we just have a lot of that stuff in a very healthy and positive way. That the feminists and stuff, they pretend to have that, but they don't. Yeah. We have it in spades, by the truckload, and it's cool and it works and it's put together in that way, where we share common values and missions and purposes, like family and fatherhood, masculinity and femininity. So it's pretty amazing to see that.
Yeah. The 22 convention was not filled with victims, was it?
No, I think it was very much the opposite. Women who wanted to make themselves great again, right? They wanted to support what we were doing, even above and beyond themselves. And I heard even, I don't know if it was Pat Stedman or Socrates or somebody, but they said they were talking to a few of the female attendees in the hallway, the kind of hallway conversation experience, one of the most important parts of attending any 21 event or 22 event. But they said it was therapeutic to be there, just to hear the speakers talk to them, get the mansplaining, as we call it.
Yeah.
But very genuinely, sincerely, they're like, this is awesome. Because they don't get to hear from men. Feminism, I think, is really strangled masculine voices in culture. Grandfathers and uncles and fathers, they're not really able to talk, especially once the children into adulthood to women anymore. That is neutered. It's neutered not only in real life and day-to-day life, but in movies and TV and art and entertainment and news and stuff. It's rare that you see that, like a masculine voice on TV. Like, where do you see that? Tucker Carlson maybe, or Trump in a super bombastic kind of way. But it's really rare, and it has to be at a high level. And so they got a lot of that. They got unlimited mansplaining, basically, for me and all the speakers there. So that was cool. You know, I'll say one more thing too, though. I'll say this. This is a moment that I want to get on camera. At 22 convention, on one of the water breaks, you know, after a speech, between the speeches, there was like a feminist girl, and she said she was a feminist, the two girls behind her, and they started arguing. They didn't get too heated or anything, but they started arguing. And this girl was like, yeah, I'm a feminist, blah, blah, blah. And this girl was like, no, feminism is super toxic. And they were kind of, I'm maybe overplaying the voice, you know, inflection on it, but it was really kind of like that. And I could see them, there wasn't anger or madness, but a couple inches from that. And it was combative.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, but it was combative. And I was like, that's awesome. But where do you see that? Like, no, women just arguing with each other about it.
Yeah. And
I was so proud to see that. And I was like, that is a spark that could light a fire. And we're getting that kind of stuff on camera here at 21. Not the attendees per se, but those kind of conversations. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a magical event, I would say, all of it.
Yeah. I heard more than a few women say, after chatting with them out in the lounge area and in the hallways, the common theme was, I feel like I was brainwashed.
Yeah.
That's what they said. Those were their exact words. I feel like I was brainwashed.
Yep, I agree. And I know Pat Stedman talked a lot about that in one or both of his speeches. Conditioning and propaganda and stuff has been super effective in feminism across many spectrums of life in the West, but feminism is a big one. I called it in my speech the religion, and I have previously too. Basically, it's the religion of modern women. If you look at religion in terms of a set of beliefs that guide your life, in terms of important decisions and day-to-day beliefs and interactions, family, relationships, marriage, things like that, it really dictates how they feel and believe and what they're going to do with big decisions in life and small ones too. So yeah, it's brainwashing for sure, and it's bad and it's toxic and it needs to end. The idea with feminism today that feminists will openly propagate is that, you know, feminism needs to go on indefinitely into the future. Like, when is it going to end? They have no answer. Just forever, forever, and ever, and ever, and ever. You're going to smash the patriarchy forever, even though it's already in pieces and burnt to the ground. It's delusional crap at this point. It needs to end. Like, you know, equality and before the law is a good thing. You know, equality before God or nature or whatever, that's a good thing. Beyond that, this is super toxic Orwellian crap, and it's got to end. And we are actually doing something about that. This is the real, in my opinion, the first cultural pushback against feminism that's not political. It has very little political involvement at all. It just looks like it, which is funny and pisses off a lot of people, which is fantastic. It gets attention, you know, triggers them. But yeah, we got to push back against it in a useful, funny, provocative way that, you know, walks a lot of good lines and balances, even keeled. And in spite of the bombastic marketing, I think we've actually hit the nail on the head. And the women who attended saw that firsthand, skeptical or, you know, encouraging as they were walking in, whatever the case was.
Yeah.
Yep. They loved you too, man. I know that. I heard them. They called you dinner. Actually, it's funny too. One of them, they were just talking how much they enjoyed your speech and you being there and the way you communicate with women. And they're like, and she was almost twirling her hair. You could see her just kind of like George Bruno, but she was like, yeah, you can tell he's a hairstylist. And my safety coordinator, my guy T-Dog, I call him. He's like, no, he's a barber. And she's like, oh yeah, a barber. Yeah. I don't even know if there's a difference, but
there is a difference. Yeah, it's two completely different trainings.
Okay. But for the woman, that's just how she referred to you, and that's just her experience, I guess.
Yeah.
The Sultan of Silver.
Yeah.
So she feels it. And that's why I introduced you too.
Yeah.
Women love him, men revere him.
Yeah.
And I knew you would have that effect on them.
Yeah.
Texas got him too. They really love Texas Dom's talk.
I had heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
And not too surprising, but interesting.
Do you think the 21 Summit and the way it was executed is successful enough to want to duplicate it again a year from now? Do you want to do it again?
Immediately, yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, tickets, I think 1 or 2 sold last night already, yeah. We're ready to roll. We're going to do, next year, 2021, the year of 21-ception, 21 conventions and 2021, all that stuff. 21 Summit, 21 Convention, 21 Patriarch Edition, unlimited 21s. We will have 22 Convention again, the second one, and the plan is to keep repeating it. more or less, indefinitely until I just don't feel like doing it or there's a reason to stop doing it. So yeah, for next year for sure, the second 22 convention in 2021 at 21 Summit. Probably going to be, it's going to be in October. I don't know the exact weekend yet, but October 2021. And I think it'd be bigger and better. The fact that we pulled it off, we had to change the schedule due to COVID, lockdowns and crap. And then people couldn't even travel in due to, travel restrictions and, concerns about the virus and stuff. The fact that we actually pulled it off and then on top of 2 other events is just amazing. And, I think the media, Good Morning Britain, for example, they kept contacting me before the event. I almost went on the show again on the start of the event at Thursday morning. Scheduling issues, so we didn't end up doing it. But basically, they kept asking me repeatedly, even like 2 weeks out and a week out. I'm like, why are they asking me the same question again? Like, is 22 convention happening? I'm like, yeah, it's happening. Like, tickets are on sale, the venue's paid for and booked, like, we're doing it. And they just couldn't believe it. Maybe because they're in Britain, and Britain has the UK has heavy lockdown restrictions.
Yeah.
So that's their reality. But in Florida and here, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. And sure as shit, we're done.
Boom.
Boom. Shit's on the hard drive, ready to rock.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is, well, you beat the odds, number one, because there were some people that were saying that you'll never be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Because of the restrictions across the country.
A lot of people were saying that, yeah.
Yeah.
Inside and outside the Manosphere.
Yeah. The controversial nature of the 22 convention, which the execution was flawless. And also, I just think the concept of the summit, of having everything together under the same roof, is very unique.
Challenging, yeah.
Yeah. How far did people travel from?
We had a few international. That was, limited. We lost a lot of speakers due to that, due to the last minute, due to COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they traveled mostly from the United States, around a few from Florida, but not many. Mostly they were flying in.
It's not something, yeah.
Yeah, but we beat the odds, man. I've called myself previously since about 2018 an unstoppable American entrepreneur, but I guess really I'm the unstoppable American dream, and I proved that to the nines here, to the T.
You did.
Thank you. Yeah.
You did, absolutely.
It's kind of surreal to actually do it, in the middle of the pandemic and all this crap. But I knew that I could, and I knew if I put my nose to the grindstone and surrounded myself with the right people, good men, and good women too,
Yeah.
we'd nail it, and we fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
This is really, really awesome. I can't wait to get the videos edited online and just start just blasting the internet and, angering more feminists.
Your volunteer staff were incredible. Can you comment on them?
Yeah, they're critical to making the event happen. We have staff and speakers and paid guys too, crew. But the volunteers are necessary for a lot of fine tuning and the odds and ends, the I's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And without them, the event would not run as smoothly. So I'm really glad that they came out. And we have them every year since about 2012. We started adding volunteers, and I love them, man. This year they did really good too. It's interesting. I noticed that with James, my GM, yesterday. From the top down or from the bottom up, whatever you want to call it, every team we had, every group of attendees, speakers, volunteers, staff, security, all this stuff, everything was just super smooth. Everyone on an individual level was performing at a high level. And I still don't know exactly why that was. Everyone usually does pretty good anyway. There can be bumps and bruises and, things happen, mistakes, shit happens at an event. It's a live event. It's not like this pre-recorded thing. It's happening like live on the fly. It's like a theater. It's a production times 3 now, or 4 counting the 21 report.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just worked out really well. The energy, maybe people were pent up this year because they were so locked down and cooped up the whole year. A lot of stuff like that. A lot of stuff was canceled. The bars are closed around the United States and stuff. Just went awesome for whatever reason. Maybe we have Manosphere guardian angels. I'm looking over us.
Very well could be.
The private man.
Yeah.
And Stefan Arnio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the new speakers.
Yeah.
Comment on some of the new speakers.
Coach Greg was one of the most impressive. I agree. Someone commented to me that he was probably the best new speaker, or the most surprising too, like the dark horse, I guess you call that. Yeah, Coach Greg, man, I had that feeling going in too. I even was teasing that he makes a good candidate. Socrates better watch out for vice president of the Manosphere. That's due to his beliefs and his attitude towards the Manosphere and about the connections and the unification of it, unifying it behind like common values and common messages and themes that are universal among all the different groups and stuff like that. So yeah, Coach Greg was easily one of the best new speakers and probably the best new one. And he had it was his first time here. Only a few speakers spoke at all 3 events.
Yeah.
Some did 1, a lot did 2, and he did all 3.
Yes.
Other speakers did 3 too, like yourself.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know if you could actually, I knew you could, push come to shove, do that. I didn't know if that was a good idea though, because you have to do over 24 interviews like this, which is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But you did all 3 and you did great.
We did it.
But you've been here before. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Elliot Hulse has been here before. He knows the drill. He spoke at all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Socrates has been here for a long time. He knows the drill, and he did all 3. To put that on Coach Greg was tough, and that dude handled it like a boss.
He did.
He had some. There was even a woman who was combative, arguing with him outside the hallways and stuff for his speeches. And even a lot of the Q&A in 22 was very energetic. We'll say.
Yes, it was.
And everyone handled it really well. Coach Greg, though, man, was just on it. I saw him take in the hallway some seriously intense, just kind of verbal combat. And this guy was absolute rock solid frame. The dude's got, people know him as MGTOW and, I guess staying away from women or whatever, the peace sleeve stuff. But that dude's got game. I can guarantee you he's got game.
To describe him as MGTOW is actually putting him in a box. He is so much bigger.
I think he self-describes as that. I think he does anyway. If he's not, I'll take that back. But I think he describes himself that way.
Yeah.
And certainly a lot of his followers, I think, would consider themselves that.
Yeah. Who else?
Bulldog was new. That was, let's say this. I like Bulldog. I've known him since last year. It was good. He came out, good thing. But there was one new speaker added pretty late in the game, and that was Jay Vincent. And that was really awesome. He spoke at 21 and 22. And for him as a fitness speaker to do 22 was actually, kind of risky and pretty interesting. And he took to it like a duck to water. It was great.
He did.
But the reason that he's interesting to me is he was the youngest speaker here. I believe he was 30 years old. He's 2 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. So I get older. I used to be the youngest guy at the event. Now I'm not even the youngest speaker.
Yeah.
And we have attendees, 8 weeks old or 18 years old too. Some of the fathers brought their sons. So one father brought 2 sons.
Yes.
I was like, damn, you bringing the whole litter is great. But Jay Vincent did great because it was important to me because the 21 convention event in particular, the main event, it has a long history in what's called high intensity training, or the school of Arthur Jones for exercise, essentially. That spirit of Arthur Jones. He died in 2007, but he was an inventor and entrepreneur and millionaire and stuff. And we haven't had speakers speak on that issue for high intensity training for a couple of years now. We've had a lot speak on it, the biggest names in the world for it. Dr. Ellington Darden, Dr. Doug McGuff, Bill DeSimone, Jim Flanagan, huge guys in that community that, anyway, this is a big community. It's like the Manosphere in a sense for exercise. It's its own, subculture. And so for him to pick up that torch, and he actually started his business after speaking, or not speaking yet, but watching 21 convention speeches from those speakers in the early 2010s, Dr. McGuff's speech in particular from 2010. That was just awesome to see that continuation of a generation of ideas.
Yeah.
And he killed it too. The speeches were badass. They were good.
Yeah.
He was articulate and jacked as shit, which helps communicate the message.
Yes, of course. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
I truly was.
Great addition to what we do. And so totally familiar with the Manosphere too.
Yeah.
So he's a good fit, unlike some of the other guys in high intensity training, which would be great for exercise, but they're not super familiar. It's interesting to them to meet the speakers and learn about what we're doing. Yeah. But Jay already knew all that and everything I needed him to know about high intensity training and exercise and fitness. So it was a really good match. And he's young too, so it was a unique speaker to add to the event.
Yeah. Are you going to have a Red Man group filled with speakers to do kind of a post-game debriefing kind of thing like you did last year?
Yeah, we'll do it probably this Saturday or next Saturday for sure.
Okay.
Easily,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
I look forward to it, yeah.
Definitely. Well, this was a great talk. Thank you for a great conference, a great summit. You pulled it off. It went off well. And the fact that you want to do it again and you have no regrets about it.
My only concern is that it's a year out. And I could use a vacation, but
yes,
it's sad. It's sad that we don't get to do it for a year, even though I'd like the time and I will use the time to build it.
Yes,
and it's sad that we don't get to meet each other again, probably for a year.
Yeah,
maybe some of us, obviously. I see Tony all the time and your dad, but and Socrates, but that's a very small selection of dozens of speakers.
Yeah.
So the meeting face to face is just so amazing, man. Highly underrated.
I can't believe how fast the last year went by. It seems like we were just doing this seriously last October. I can't believe a year went by.
I know.
And the next year is going to go by just as fast.
Yep.
So you've got work to do, don't you?
Yep. Me and my guy, my editor.
That's right.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, George.
A conversation with Anthony Dream Johnson, founder and president of the 21 Summit and of the Manosphere.